Everything changed in a single moment on a quiet film set where nobody expected tension to surface so sharply. Yet what unfolded between two of the most admired rising stars in the industry would soon become the most talked about incident behind the cameras. The atmosphere had been calm earlier that day, filled with routine rehearsals, soft lighting tests, and the usual rhythm of a production preparing for another emotional scene. Nothing suggested that the energy would shift so dramatically within minutes. Nothing suggested that words spoken off script would fracture the balance of professionalism so completely. Tian Xiwei arrived on set with her usual focus, maintaining the quiet discipline she had become known for among the crew. She greeted colleagues with polite nods, reviewed her scenes with precision, and positioned herself in character as though nothing could disrupt her concentration. Across the set, Zhang Linghe was already engaged in conversation with the director, going over dialogue adjustments and timing for a scene that required emotional depth and subtle expression rather than dramatic intensity. The production had been running smoothly for weeks, with both actors building a natural rhythm that audiences had begun to notice in behind-the-scenes clips and promotional interviews. There was an unspoken understanding between them, a professional harmony that made their scenes feel authentic and effortless. Yet beneath that surface, something was about to shift in a way nobody anticipated. It began during what was supposed to be a light rehearsal segment. The crew was resetting lighting positions while the director gave brief instructions about continuity. Cameras were not rolling for final takes, and most people assumed this would be a standard run-through. Zhang Linghe remained near the main filming mark, adjusting his posture while waiting for cues. Tian Xiwei stood a short distance away, reviewing her emotional timing for the upcoming scene. Then came the moment that changed everything. Without warning, Zhang Linghe deviated from the expected dialogue rehearsal structure. Instead of following the scripted lines, he introduced a spontaneous remark that immediately altered the mood on set. The word marriage entered the conversation in a context that was neither planned nor rehearsed. It was not part of the script, nor was it aligned with the scene being prepared. The reaction was immediate. Tian Xiwei paused mid-movement, her expression shifting as if the air around her had grown heavier. Crew members nearby noticed the sudden change, but initially assumed it was part of improvisation. However, the silence that followed carried a different weight, one that felt too real to be acting. The director called for a brief pause, sensing that something unusual was unfolding. Zhang Linghe did not repeat himself, nor did he elaborate. Instead, he remained still, his expression unreadable, as though he had crossed a line he had not fully intended to step over. The set, once filled with quiet coordination, became still in a way that felt almost uncomfortable. Tian Xiwei slowly turned away from her position. There was no dramatic gesture, no visible confrontation, only a gradual withdrawal from the moment itself. She removed her attention from the surrounding activity, her focus shifting inward as if processing something deeply personal. The crew watched in silence as she walked away from the marked filming area. Her exit was not rushed, yet it carried undeniable emotional weight. Each step suggested distance being placed between herself and the moment that had just unfolded. The assistant director attempted to follow protocol by calling for a short break, but the atmosphere had already changed beyond simple scheduling adjustments. Behind the scenes, whispers began to circulate. Some crew members speculated that the unscripted mention of marriage may have been misunderstood. Others believed it touched on something sensitive between the two actors that had never been made public. No one had confirmation, yet everyone felt the shift. Zhang Linghe remained on set for several moments after Tian Xiwei left the area. His posture stayed composed, but those closest to him noticed a subtle change in demeanor. The earlier ease he carried during rehearsals seemed replaced by quiet reflection. He eventually stepped away from the main camera zone, not following her, but also not continuing with the rehearsal as planned. The director decided to pause filming entirely. During the break, conversations among the production team became more animated. Some crew members recalled previous interviews, where both actors had spoken about emotional depth in their roles and how easily real feelings can sometimes blend with performance. Others pointed out that promotional appearances had often highlighted their natural chemistry, which may have contributed to heightened interpretations of even small interactions. Still, No one could confirm what had truly triggered Tian Xiwei's abrupt departure from the set area. What remained clear was the impact of a single unexpected word introduced at the wrong moment, within the wrong emotional frame, in front of the wrong audience. Minutes turned into a longer pause than anyone anticipated. Tian Xiwei did not immediately return. Instead, she was seen later in a quieter section of the studio lot, accompanied by a staff member who attempted to reassure her and guide her back toward the schedule. Her expression had softened, but she remained distant, as though still processing the interruption that had disrupted her emotional focus. Zhang Linghe eventually rejoined the production team discussions, where the director carefully reviewed what had happened. There was no public confrontation, no raised voices, only a professional attempt to understand how improvisation had crossed into unintended emotional territory. What made the incident even more compelling was how little was actually said and how much it appeared to affect both individuals. The absence of explicit explanation only intensified curiosity among those present. In environments where performance and reality often intertwine, even subtle deviations can create ripples that spread far beyond the set itself. As filming preparations resumed later that day, the atmosphere was noticeably different. The ease that once defined their shared scenes had been replaced by a more cautious energy. Adjustments were made to ensure smoother transitions, and the director took additional time to clarify dialogue boundaries before rolling cameras again. Neither actor addressed the incident publicly during production hours. Their focus returned to professionalism, yet those observing closely could sense that something had shifted internally. Not necessarily conflict, but awareness. Awareness that certain words carry weight beyond scripted meaning, especially in environments where emotion is already heightened for performance. By the end of the day, filming continued, but the story circulating among crew members was no longer about the scene being shot. It was about the moment everything paused, the moment a single unexpected mention disrupted the flow of an entire production. What remains most striking is how quickly atmosphere can change when personal themes intersect with professional space. A set built on structure and discipline can still be influenced by unscripted emotion, and even experienced performers can find themselves momentarily caught between character and reality. This incident continues to circulate in fan discussions and entertainment circles, not because of controversy, but because of curiosity. People want to understand what lies beneath moments like these, where silence becomes louder than dialogue, and where absence speaks more than presence. Stay connected for more deep dives into behind-the-scenes moments that never make it into final cuts. Subscribe for upcoming stories, exclusive breakdowns, and cinematic insights that reveal what truly happens when cameras stop rolling and real emotion begins to surface in unexpected ways.